Hi guys, it's Paul from iSkateCoach.co.uk. Today we're going to teach you how to do forward crossovers. I'm going to show you from beginner all the way to pro. Stick around to the end because we're going to cover some common mistakes and ways you can improve your crossovers if you can already do them. So first of all, what is a crossover? We're going to demonstrate one for you. I'm going to show you a beginner version. I'm going to build it up to a kind of a pro version. So it's like a better, more advanced version of a crossover because they do vary. When you first learn them, they look a lot different to how we'd like them in the end. So the beginner version of your crossover will just literally be to balance on one foot and take a step over the top like this. Now it's a very good idea to use the hockey circle for these so you can consistently go around on a nice curve. As you develop your crossovers, you're going to bring in more of a push on the outside leg and what we call the under push of the back foot as well. Increase your posture, knee bend and extension until these crosses become much more advanced in how they look and how we execute them. So let's start from the very beginning and walk it through. Right, before you do your crossovers, you're going to need to know how to do your basic forward edges on one foot, a forward chassé and a balanced position. So I'll quickly demonstrate these skills for you now. The forward balancing on one foot, an outside edge is most useful and you need to make sure you can do it with your free leg in front of you as this will be the movement for that leg as it crosses over. A chassé will help you with the push. When you do that chassé, to make sure you get a nice rebend as you lift the free leg so you get a nice strong push into your crossover. And the balanced position for a forward crossover will be in this position here, which we call a half star, with all your weight on the left foot, ready to pull up to lift that free leg off the floor and take the crossover. There's another balanced position as well, but we're going to cover that in a sec when we start these off. Okay, we're going to start these on the wall. We're going to hold the wall with your hands, facing the wall. It's going to lift up and over and take that step across like this. We're going to do this both ways. Now as you do this, try and make sure that you're feeling your outside edge roll over so you can take that step. You'll feel with the outside edge rolled over like you almost want to fall this way. Not fall, but you know what I mean. The weight's going that way, so it helps me to do that crossover. If I did two inside edges here, I'd get a bit stuck. It would be much harder to do that crossover. So roll your little toe down, outside edge as you step over. When you're happy with that, we'll come away from the wall and try it without holding. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get into our half star position. I'm going to lift up on one foot and bring my free leg in front. If you can hold that for 2 or 3 seconds, you'll be all right to try it. So what we're going to do is take that step over and step straight back to 2 feet. So again, I get my balanced position, come up and lift the free leg forward, take the cross and back to 2 feet. And we just do that one at a time, like that. Now, in the end, you'll be able to link these together. That little step you take down, you'll be able to continue and go into your next one and your next one and your next one until you can do them one after the other, just like this. Don't forget to practice this both ways, from your half star, lift up, leg in front, take the cross, back to 2. Half star, lift up, leg in front, take the cross, back to 2. Okay? It's a good idea, guys. If you lift that foot forward and you don't feel balanced, to not try the cross. So you want to make sure when you lift that leg forward, you feel safe enough and balanced enough to take it over the top. If you lift up and it's not stable, it's a bit risky to carry on and go for the crossover. So just make sure you're settled, you're balanced, then you can take the cross. To develop these crosses, it's a good idea to get comfortable with standing with 2 crossed feet. So this is the next exercise I try and get people to do. Once they can do it one after the other continuously, we need to get really comfortable with crossing and holding like this. Now you'll see a tiny little gap between my feet as I do that glide around the circle. Okay, so I want that little gap between my feet. Because if my feet crash into each other, I'm gonna trip. So we keep that nice gap open by steering the feet just slightly apart. My weight now is 50-50. I'm just coasting along. So in between a few of these crosses, just gonna get comfy. And that's gonna help us later when we start to improve these further. Okay, so comfortable with the cross.
It's important to note that when you first learn a cross, it's more of a step over. As you get better at these, you'll end up bringing the foot further forward and overtaking the foot you're stood on. So rather than lifting up and over, think about sliding your foot forward and overtaking the foot just in front of the toe. It's placed just inside the circle as the back foot runs off.
The big debate in arms and crossovers, where should you have them? Should you face in? Should you face out? Should you be neutral? And in my opinion, the answer is you should be able to do all three. As an absolute beginner to crossovers, the easiest place to put your arms is neutral. So it's literally just having them slightly forward in front of you here, 10-2 with the arms. As you do your crosses, I'm facing the way I'm going, and I'm going with that with the arms forward. Eventually, yes, you should be able to do it with your shoulders facing out and your shoulders facing in. And you use these different positions for things we do while we're skating. So this one might be used for a 3-turn, for example. This one, mostly in dance with the left side leading as we do the crossover. Yeah, and neutral, sometimes when we're transitioning from one direction to the other, you might need to go neutral as well. So you need to do all three. Try them as you do your crossovers. Now, there are two pushes in crossovers. There's an outside leg push and a push underneath we call the under push. So I'm going to show you a little exercise for both. The first one's for the outside leg and it's called scooting. So what we're going to do is go for our balanced position on 2 feet together to start with. I'm going to bend both knees and take that push away. I'm using my whole blade to do the push. So be careful not to catch your toe pick as you push. You want to bend both knees, lean the inside edge in, and use the whole blade to do the push. Like that. And I can do this continuously, just to work that outside push. And once you push, you'll get the confidence to strike and drive through that outside edge before you take your crossover. So do that push, bring the leg through, then do the crossover. Okay, so when you take that push, we want your free leg hovering just over the tracing you've made with the front foot. There, not too far to the side and also not too far behind. So it's literally on the line that you're traveling on, okay? And that is the best balance point for that outside push. So under push in a crossover, I use this exercise to make it stronger. So we're gonna start on 2 feet. I'm gonna turn this inside foot underneath my foot and try and give it a little push on its own by bending both knees, putting more weight on my inside foot, and then standing up on it as I take the crossover. Now I'm doing that crossover on 2 feet, so I'm not lifting this one for now. I'm just working the under push. I'm sliding that outside foot around like a half lemon and letting that under push away underneath, like that. And I can really work that under push and find the power in it. Once I've got that, I can add the two together, get my strong push on the outside and the under push. Push, bend and push. Okay, a common problem in crossovers is stepping out of the crossover. So this is when your weight's a bit too far into the circle. You take the cross and you have to kind of step out of it to stop yourself from falling. Or it might not be that you're falling, it might just be that you can't hold your balance on each foot very long, so it ends up being a quick cross just to get it done so you don't lose your balance, okay? So the trick for this is to try and think about leaning slightly out of your circle. As you do your crosses, think about having your head over your right shoulder as you take the cross, in this case because it's the outside shoulder, If I was going the other way, it'd be the left. And then just taking your time. Spend time on each step. Cross and hold. Push and hold. Cross and hold. Push and hold. Cross and hold. All right, and then that balanced position we showed you earlier with the feet crossed. If you're comfortable there, you can almost do your crossover in slow motion, like this. And the slower the better. It shows good control and good balance. Another common problem for forward crossovers is when you catch the toe or even push with the toe. So it might look something like this. I've learnt my crossover and I push, or even I don't push, but I'm catching it as it comes off. Very common, probably the most common problem in a crossover. So here's how I fix it. On the outside push, like we said earlier, you want to make sure you're using your whole blade. So I drop the inside edge and turn this foot slightly out as it pushes. So I'm thinking about almost making a T shape with my feet as I push, turning out to do the push there. So see if you can spot that in the crossover. Inside edge, turns out. See that T shape? Inside edge, push out. That's the outside foot. That's not normally the problem foot. The under push to get you off your toe pick. We're gonna try and get this back foot to lift up by its toe first and then turn in to take away. So yeah, it's an inward turn. Once it's come over, it turns in, lifts off from the toe before we get going. So let's take a look at that. So I'm gonna hold my feet crossed. From there, I'm gonna try and lift that toe pick first and turn my foot in to get it to come off the ice. From here and off. So you can see the difference now from the toe pushing to the slide off, just like this. Inside edge push off, toes off, then the rest comes off. No toes. This is what we had before. Catching the toes and then sliding off the edge and lifting from the toe first.
To learn this movement of your back foot, try scraping your heel with your feet crossed first before pushing your toe away. This will help you get the feeling you need to lift your toes off first so they don't ever catch. Then simply take away the scrape.
Another common problem with forward crossovers is when you do not have enough push. So we're just stepping over. We've got the speed from skating, we get to the corner and it's just a step. It's not a push. So do you need to try and build your confidence with striking and driving into that 1 foot glide and also on the under push as well. So we can use your scooters to get used to that, or your chassis, lifting that free leg, getting that rebend, and just generally getting comfortable holding your edges a little bit faster and working that under push with the same exercises we showed you earlier. Well, another common problem for forward crossovers, I don't see this a lot, but sometimes I have to address it. When your skater brings their foot over, they open up their hip a little bit. So it ends up turning out this front foot as it comes across. So we end up with something like this. And they're leading with the heel as they cross, okay? And that's just something to be aware of. The simple fix for that is to just go back to your parallel feet as you cross and do your walk through to try not to open that hip as you cross over. Funny things can happen to your crossovers when you do that. Very similar to that as well, just what I think of it, is a problem I call gappy feet. This is when you cross or step too far apart. You end up with a big gap between your feet, here and here. So generally, we want to try and bring our feet back together after each crossover so it looks nice and neat and tidy, just like this sport should be. So I start with my feet together, I do my push, I cross over, and I bring them back together. Push, cross, back together. Not push, cross with a big gap between the feet. Okay, try this exercise to help improve your crossover pushes. Now, we don't want your crossovers to do this event in the end, but this exercise does just really emphasize where the weight should be hitting before you take each push in your crossover. So we're going to do crossovers with a bounce. I'm going to bounce on the first push and the second push. So both parts of the crossover have a down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, like that. All right, and by doing that, I can feel the rebend for both pushes with that bounce. And it's a good way. In the end, like I said, we don't want you to bounce, okay? You should be nice and still. But underneath that, you should now be able to feel where the pressure is under your feet. Through there. So now my head's staying level, and I've got that push under. I can feel the pressure instead of a bounce of where my pushing should be, okay? So to take your crossovers from beginner to pro, we need to look at posture, knee bend, and extension getting bigger and better and longer and stronger, okay? So our basic crossover position here, we can see if you can push it lower, extend it more with the free legs, and pull your posture up here as well. So posture, knee bend, extension, more. So I'm going to show you a couple of exercises where you'll be able to push that using two balance positions. So I'm going to do this real quick on the circle, and then I'll show you the drills. So the first position is the outside edge position. We're just going to get there, and I'm going to add posture, knee bend, extension, pushing through the toe pick, locking out the knee, and getting as low as I can in the knee to hold that position. And then there's the second side, is the under push position. So when you get in that position, hold it, posture, knee bend, extension, more, as much as possible. And we try that in these drills to see if it helps you.
So the first drill is Russian stroking with a big emphasis on the outside edge. A Russian stroke is a crossover with a step wide to an inside edge. So here I'm holding the outside edge longer just so I can practice that posture, knee bend and extension as I do that. So I'm holding an outside edge, a quick crossover step to inside, hold the outside edge, quick cross step, working my way down the ring. This is a great warm up and a great way to expand on those three things in your crossovers. Once you've got the outside edge version, you can try position 2 with the same exercise, holding the inside edge. So now I'm going to do half across, hold the inside edge, step wide, half across, hold the inside edge. And while I'm holding that edge, I'm focused again on increasing my posture, lengthening my extension, and deepening my knee bend with each one. Then this just allows me a bit more time to hold that position with balance, both sides.
Well guys, I hope that's improved or helped you with your crossovers. If you've got any questions about crossovers, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to leave a like and a subscribe because that really helps me out, and we'll see you in the next video.